Oh, friends, the elegance here. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Rosalie. Welcome to the Ultimate World Music Reaction Channel. We're diving into something, into a very special artist, a very special composition of musicians that I've been exploring, and it's been a minute. High time for me to check out more of the Ayreon projects, and I want to check out Valley of the Queens. Arjun Anthony Lucassen is a phenomenal musician, artist. I mean, multi instrumentalist, composer, genius. And I've been checking out his work, and I received an awesome request. Shout out today goes to Michael K. Thank you for your patience. I was asked to check out Valley of the Queens. Now, this has been viewed almost 1 million times. What Mr. Lucassen does with Ayreon, with his musical compositions, is he works with various artists from around Europe and around the world. And he is from the Netherlands. He is a Dutch singer, songwriter, multi instrumentalist, as I said, record producer. This, I call it Ayreon, but Ayreon, I guess would be a better way to say it, is this progressive metal rock opera project. And I was told, if I saw correctly, that one of the performers in this specific song, Valley of the Queens, is Anneke van Giersberg, godmother of symphonic metal, is what she's referred to. And she's actually inspired Floor Jansen to sing symphonic metal. And we have Marcela Bovillo from Mexico. We have Jeroen Goossens, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Various really, really talented, amazing performers and artists on this project. And so we're going to check it out. All right, guys, as always, like, share, subscribe. Make sure to subscribe here on Rosalie Reacts, as well as on my RR Requests channel. It's a secondary channel that I started to help spotlight various artists from around the world to honor some of your requests from Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. I'm working my way through the last few of the list. It was a very long list, and it took me forever to get through. But I'm going to be opening up the requests option again, the suggestion option on Buy Me a Coffee. Meaning, if you want to buy me a coffee, make sure to check out my policies and the instructions on how to go about that. For a certain amount of coffees, you can make a request. For a certain amount of coffees, you can get a little shout out if you like. Different ways to support. Of course, always just an option just to buy a coffee to say thanks for this work. As you know, many of these songs don't get monetized because they have copyright claims. All kinds of extra content available over there on both of those pages, including blog posts, updates from myself behind the scenes, extra content coming soon where we dive deeper into psychology, personal development, some classes that I'm working on. So all the links in the description below. But let's dive in. And before we keep going, real quick, for those of you who are with a band, who are a musician, singer, songwriter yourself, trying to get your music out into the world, trying to grow your platform, reach out to me. Check out my contact information in the About section here on YouTube, and email me if you're interested in working together. Okay, guys, let us begin. I'm gonna start over, guys. These compositions of him are so beautifully put together. It's like a movie score. It's like this experience. It's much more beyond. If you've seen some of my other reactions to Mr. Lucassen's work, these Ayreon projects are really not just a song. You know, they are like an experience. They're almost like this story that you go on, this exploration through music, storytelling, and a movie. Like it's a musical. It's much more than just a song, if you will, or a composition. It's really, really beautiful. And to see the various instruments coming together, setting the tone, and those who really appreciate the art that is music, I think can cherish something like this.
My will
Let me pause here. Oh my goodness, I have goosebumps. The harmonies here are absolutely beautiful. I am a sucker for harmonies. If you've seen some of my videos in the past, you know I've said this before. I am trying to figure out who is who. We know Floor Jansen, obviously. So it looks like Anneke van Giesbergen is a Dutch singer-songwriter. The lady in the middle here with the blonde hair. Her voice is very unique. We know Floor, her strong operatic voice. I'm loving what she's doing, even as she's articulating some of those sounds, vowels and consonants as she's singing. There's moments where even though they're all harmonizing together beautifully, no one is overshadowing the other, and I like that. When we're talking harmonies, it's important to work together. It's not a one-man show, and everyone, the vocalists, including the instruments, are flowing together beautifully. And we love Floor Jansen. We love her operatic voice. I do. The strength, the way that she's forming her mouth and just formulating these sounds are bringing in this beautiful, unique texture. But it's beautiful to see how all of them have a unique voice and it complements each other very well. For example, Anneke van Giesbergen, her voice is very different than Floor Jansen's and beautiful nonetheless, just as much beautiful. She has a very unique timbre and texture to her voice that I find very pleasant to listen to. And then the way that they're harmonizing, threefold harmonies at some point. Even the gentleman on the flute, if I saw correctly, Jeroen Goossens. I'm sorry if I'm not saying his name right. He's the flutist here. And then we have Marcela Bovio from Mexico. And she is the third lady, the lady all the way on the right. And just the way they're singing. And I love this little flute interlude, the way he's playing it with such emotion and passion. It complements these beautiful ladies very well. And just seeing these three queens up there, it works wonderfully. Not to take away from the rest of the instrumentation, by the way. The gentleman on the guitar, I don't know who he is. We have some strings. I believe I saw the drums. It all is flowing together really beautifully. I love the complementation of Anneke van Giesbergen singing the melody here and Marcela Bovio harmonizing with her as an alto in that specific moment, I believe. And then all three of them coming together. It's just beautifully building. Oh, friends, the elegance here. The elegance. It gives me goosebumps. The lyrics are beautiful. My journey's over. I'm standing on the edge and close my eyes to this world of lies. My will is broken. It's the end of all my dreams. My soul yearns for the valley of the queens. My rose has withered. It will never bloom again. The soil is dry. Time has come to die. My faith has left me. They've stolen all my dreams. Oh, lay me down in the valley of the queens. My search has ended. My name is carved in stone on the temple wall beyond Osiris Hall. No holy sun rays will light my tomb of dreams. I won't return from the valley of the queens. Oh my gosh, how can you have a song about death ultimately, coming to terms with being finite and with something being the end, and yet have it performed so beautifully? It almost makes me want to cry, because we're talking death here. We're talking this idea of dying. My will is broken. I close my eyes to this world of lies. My rose has withered. When I think of queens, even female beauty, right? The word rose works well with that, right? We think of roses as a symbol of love, of romance. We think of it as a beautiful flower. Many consider it that. Of course, everyone has a different taste in what they consider a beautiful or their favorite flower. But flowers in general, the rose, right? It's very symbolic, and it's a beautiful flower, to me at least. There's a lot of duality even within the rose, right? It looks beautiful to many, but doesn't smell that great sometimes. Roses really smell like doo doo doo. And it has thorns, right? The rose has thorns. It is beautiful, depending on the type of rose, may or may not smell very well. So it's there's some symbolism even in that object of the rose. But when I think of a rose as in something blooming, any flower, if you will, it makes me think of youth, right? Life. We're at the prime. We bloom. There's scriptures that speak about us withering like grass, right? We're here in the morning, gone in the evening. And there's this verse that says, teach me to number my days so I may gain a heart of wisdom, right? Give me, almost to me, I interpret that as help me understand how fleeting my life is, that my number, the days that I have here is limited. And so I can be wise. And I think that in itself is a very good approach when it comes to death anxieties, existential fears, because if we're always consumed with the past or the future, never the present, we waste this life. We get so preoccupied with all the things that are going wrong, what we want, what should be, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and we're wasting life away. And I think there is wisdom in understanding our days are numbered. There's wisdom in understanding, hey, things are going to wither. But it's definitely to me this idea of obviously death, of youth fading, something withering, never to bloom again. And when we actually take the time, that's why I appreciate masterminds such as Dr. Yalom so much, though I don't necessarily agree with all his beliefs or his conclusions. He has a lot of profound things to say, and one of that is his approach to existential fears and dealing with death. Many people don't want to deal with that topic. It's very uncomfortable, and everyone will cope with it differently, including defying or trying to deny it. And we look for eternity. We look for eternal life. We look for meaning because, as finite beings who long for infinity, it's really hard to comprehend that something will come to an end and that anything that may or may not be after is out of our reach. You can believe it with faith, you can hope, but there's no guarantee, right? It's a matter of faith. And that's a scary thing. And many people, I think, don't deal with it. And a lot of our issues can come from that. Not solely. There's a lot of things that can stem from various issues, but people who come about life and therapy from an existential standpoint will, at least along the lines of Dr. Yalom's approach to existentialism, he points out that he believes that a lot of it is rooted in our death anxieties and fears underneath, deep, deep underneath sometimes. And this song to me is a sad song if I were to look at just the lyrics, right? If this would have been presented in any other way, it could have been very disheartening. But here I see such a beautiful composition, and there's something very comforting. You know, we're all about music and psychology, of three beautiful women, queens in their own rights, standing together, singing in beautiful harmonies, everyone with their own timbre, their own texture, these instruments coming together with their unique flavor. The acoustic guitar sounds very different than the flute, and yet again, very different than the drums or the strings. Yet they all come together and they create this beautiful ensemble of art that is being presented to us. Even the way the voices work together, every one of them with their unique voice, with their unique appearance, that too has an effect on us psychologically. Seeing beauty standing there with the elegance, the way they smile at the end as the audience applauses. There's this elegance, this royalty about these ladies and about this whole group and about this composition that Mr. Arjen Lucassen has created. And so we see here how even this idea, if again we just look at the lyrics, of death, of something withering and coming to an end, of going to a place where you will never return, can be comforting because it's wrapped in this beauty, and it's wrapped and presented to us by these queens who are very youthful and very alive, singing about death. Now, of course, we could go into more detail when it comes to mythology, because there's even a reference to Osiris Hall. Osiris was the Egyptian god of the underworld, husband and brother of Isis. And the Judgment Hall of Osiris is believed to focus upon the weighing of the heart of the deceased in a scale balanced by Ma'at. So, a lot of mythology here, right? But this idea of death, of going to a place where we will be judged, right? The place of death and the afterworld, if you will. But interesting here, it says, my name is carved in stone on the temple wall beyond Osiris Hall, right? It's almost like beyond this place of the afterlife and judgment. And for something to be carved in stone, that is interesting as well. My search has ended. Isn't life such a search? Aren't we all ultimately just on a search, trying to find things from love to peace to faith to God to relationship, meaning? And so the expression, my name is carved in stone on the temple wall, is very profound because I've said this before in other reactions. One of the things that we can learn when it comes to existential fears is that there is comfort, it's therapeutic to make memories, to focus on the here and now, and to ripple into the future, to propel ourselves in the future by creating meaning in our own life and impacting others positively. Ripple effect, meaning just like you throw a pebble in the water, the ripples are created. And when you have a life of meaning and you have a life that is of value, it could be in the smallest way. You can ripple into somebody else's life. You can touch someone else's life, conscious or subconsciously, making a difference in theirs. And a lot of times it may never go, and a lot of times it may be unnoticed, right? You may go down in history impacting others and you may never know of it. And they may never remember you particularly by name or as a person, but what you have passed on, what you have spoken, what you have created ripples into the future. And that's beautiful and can be comforting for some in their death anxieties and in their existential struggles, knowing that even if they're not remembered by name, or as a person, something they did had an impact on someone else. And in that way, they live on. Because that's what we often seek. We seek to live on, be it through the afterlife and through our faith and religions. We seek to live on through the lives of another, our future, the children and grandchildren. We seek to live on by rippling into someone else's lives. But many of us, we try to become immortal by leaving a legacy. That's why we look up to people who have gone down in history and are in the history books. Those who have had statues and bridges built after them, those whose names have been carved in stone, right? You leave a legacy like that. Now it almost counters that existential turmoil and those death anxieties because it's like, well, I'll die, but I will live on here in this carved stone. So it's very interesting to even see these elements that to me are very existential as we're talking about death. And then seeing no holy sun rays with light on my will light my tomb of dreams, right? So we're no longer sleeping, we're no longer dreaming, we're dead. There's no more sunlight, right? Just as every morning the sun rises and it shows us that we're still alive. I won't return from the Valley of the Queens. I think there's something beautiful about honoring women in that way. It could have been Valley of the Kings, right? But that is often spoken about from history books to, movies where it's depicted as those kings that have gone down in history. And there are queens that have gone down in history too. Some famously, some infamously. But yeah, there's something beautiful about creating art as these ladies are doing, propelling themselves into the future, using their gift to bring joy to others, and therefore carving their name in stone and leaving a legacy for themselves and making death a little sweeter, if you will. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. As always, like, share, subscribe. Make sure to check out all the links in the description. And as mentioned, if you are a band or musician, you're interested in working with me, looking for some promotion and spotlight, help to get your brand growing, reach out. You can find my contact information in the About section here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next ride. Ayo!